What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is officially time for Season 2. The 2019-2020 Premier League is just around the corner, and today I'm going to be giving you my 2019 to 2020 predictions. Now, I urge you all, if you're excited for the brand new season, to smash a like on this video, and before you watch my video, drop in the comments down below, either from 1 to 10 or the whole 1 to 20, your Premier League table prediction for the 2019 to 2020 season. Now, the previous season, 2018 to 2019, was a fantastic season. It was very, very exciting, and it had a little bit of everything, including the start of this channel, the Full 90. And I want to give you a massive thank you for all the support on the channel. For us to nearly be at 5,000 subscribers without even doing this for a full year is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm excited for another great year. And hopefully, when I do move house in October, I'll have better internet and we can start doing watch-alongs and stuff like that, as well as the regular prediction videos. But I am super excited. Without further ado, we're going to get into the Premier League. Like I said, let me know down in the comments. I read all your comments. I love it. I love the interaction. Now let's get started with Season 2 of the Full 90. Kicking off in 20th, someone's got to go there. I'm actually going to go for Brighton. Now, I don't really see them making any mad moves in the transfer market, and after sacking their manager and coming into the new season with the form that they had at the end of last season, I really see them struggling this year. They didn't play that great. They haven't won a game for many, many months. And if it continues, like, unless something crazy changes, I do see Brighton getting relegated. And I haven't looked at many videos of Premier League predictions because I'm recording this in July. So not a lot of people have actually posted them. So I don't know what the general consensus is. But I'm putting Brighton down at number 20. And you'll see on my table that I've actually got played, won, drawn, lost, goals for, goals against, goal different points, and all that stuff. And I actually went through every single game in the 2019 to 2020 league, which you can do yourself, and predicted every single result, and it gave me this table, and I'm basically going off this table and then giving my analysis in this video. And if there are things I would potentially change, if I would just rank the teams in where I think they could finish, I'll let you know when I get to that team. But Brighton in 20th, I do see them struggling this year. In 19th place, I have Sheffield United. Now, they had a great season last year, but someone that gets promoted, someone new, usually does go down, and I think it will be Sheffield this year. I heard they were actually looking to take the way they played in the Championship and bring it to the Premier League, and you're going to have to adapt in the Premier League when you get promoted. And if they aren't careful, they could be found out quickly and outclassed by the other teams in the league, and I think they're going to find it very difficult. So I'm going to put Sheffield United in 19th place. Again, it would be great to be pleasantly surprised, but obviously all the teams that aren't the three newly promoted ones avoided relegation last year, so it's going to take a lot for them to all of a sudden, you know, be in there with the likes of Sheffield, obviously like Brighton. So I'm going to see Sheffield in 19th spot. Now 18th, this was a tough one, and just getting relegation based on my table and predictions, I have Newcastle. They have obviously lost their biggest attribute, not in a player but in Rafa Benitez, and they have also lost one of their key players in Jose Perez. And despite early fan excitement at the thought of a Saudi takeover, this seems to have, at least at the moment, fallen through. So they're not going to be buying Kylian Mbappe or Lionel Messi anytime soon. And Steve Bruce, their new manager, has a great record in the lower leagues, but at this rate, I do think Newcastle fans would just be happy to escape relegation. And I think, however, they might just miss out on survival this year. It's going to be a very interesting tale to follow with Newcastle. I don't know how it's going to go, but I've just got them in at 18th place. It's going to be a close one. Coming in at 17th, I have Southampton. Now, it seems that Southampton have been fighting for survival for a few years, as their best players never seem to hang around for too long, and we can thank Liverpool for that one. They tend to start off their season quite poorly, but manage to somewhat salvage it in the middle to late stages, securing their place in the Premier League, which is definitely what they did last year, especially when Hassan Hutel came in as the manager. And on their day, they can play some excellent and attacking football. However, these days, those days just seem too few and far between for my liking, and I think they are going to struggle. I still think they'll just about stay up, but it is going to be a close one. Southampton in 17th. Of course, I believe they don't have Danny Ings anymore to rely on as well, and when things were looking bleak for Southampton, he was and has always been Mr. Reliable, and he is not there anymore either, so I think they are going to struggle a little bit. In at 16th place, I have Norwich. Now, they were the best of the Championship last year and were the deserved winners. They played well and should be able to avoid relegation if they play their cards right, which will be literally their only goal this year, in my opinion. They've had a relatively quiet transfer window, which means they'll be hoping for the similar form and confidence of last year's campaign to sort of see them through to back-to-back seasons in the Premier League, and will hope to build their squad over the next few transfer windows. It's going to be a slow process for Norwich, and they're just going to try and survive this year, I think. Coming in at 15th, I have Burnley. Now, similar to Southampton, they started to look a lot better towards the end of the season, and a preliminary sort of run of me predicting the table actually had Burnley in the relegation zone, but I sort of did a little bit more research, did it again, and Burnley actually got out and they are now in 15th place. Some speculate that they struggled last year because they would have had Europe to worry about, but to be honest, it was long before they started to really fight for relegation and survival when they exited the European tournament. So I don't think that was really an issue of theirs. Their defense is strong enough to help them avoid relegation, in my opinion. I don't expect a great season like they had a couple of seasons ago, all of the Burnley 1-0 wins, but they should definitely be able to get the job done and keep themselves ticking along as a Premier League regular at this point. That seems what Sean Dyche is pretty good at doing, and I think they will have the players and the talent to do that. In 14th place, I have Bournemouth. Now, what a start they had last season. The tale of Bournemouth just seems like they don't have the legs to go the distance in the Premier League across an entire season to break into the top half of the table. They play exciting football, but they really do lack in consistency, and you honestly wouldn't be surprised if you looked at the results one weekend and saw that they either won by 4 goals or lost by 4 goals. They are literally that type of team. They're a tough team to play, though. Their ground is a tough place, especially for bigger teams to go, and they do have a strong squad, so if they can remain injury-free, it should be another exciting season for Eddie Howe and his men, and they are certainly a team that could provide an upset for the top 6, just like Tottenham last season, for example. Coming up in 13th, I have Aston Villa, and obviously they reached the Premier League through the Championship playoffs, and they've been very, very active in the transfer window, and at the time of recording, I believe they are the highest spenders of the Premier League, and they do play a style of football that is suitable to the Premier League. Now, a lot of people have seen what they've been doing in this transfer window and are dubbing them the next Fulham, but I don't think that just because Fulham failed at what they tried to do, that Villa will. They deserve to be in the Premier League, and with all the business they've been doing as a result of their promotion, they'll definitely want to keep a tight grip on the Premier League, and I think they'll be able to do that. Not a top half of the table finish. We're not going to see another Wolves story, I don't think, but I do see Aston Villa surviving and staying in the Premier League. Coming up in 12th, we do have Watford. Now, here is a team that had another great start last season. Some people were even making comparisons to Leicester City's run when they won the title, and the statistics actually lined up at an early point in their season, and it looked like written in the stars that maybe Watford could do a Leicester City, but reality obviously quickly set in, and Watford just missed out on a top half of the table finish on the final day, but it was still a great season for them, along with a great FA Cup run if we do just forget the final score. They do have a really exciting team capable of beating most others on their day, and although I've placed them at 12th on this list, I'm sure they'll be aiming to push into the top half of the table this time round, which would be obviously a fantastic finish as far as Watford are concerned. Coming up in 11th place is Crystal Palace. Now, this is obviously a hard one because at the time of recording, it's currently July, so it's uncertain as to whether or not Wilfried Zaha will be staying or leaving at this point, whether he's going to Everton or Arsenal or somewhere else, and with the loss of Aaron Wan-Bissaka to Man United, of course, that does certainly weaken their solid defence somewhat. However, Roy Hodgson does always seem to get the job done, so I don't think they'll have to worry about relegation this season. However, it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of the season we see Palace drop a few places lower in the league than 11th, and it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up in, say, 13th or 14th spot. It really does depend on the transfer business, what happens in the last week or two, and how they start their season, really. Coming up in 10th place, we have West Ham. Now, they always look good for a solid season and a top half finish, but then they always seem to make things more difficult than they need to be. They'll be obviously without Marco Arnautovic, and I believe Samir Nasri as well this season, but I think actually without having to heavily rely on Arnautovic, I think it'll actually be good for them, and they should play quite well together as a team. And Pellegrini is a great manager, and I think he'll be able to do what's necessary to keep them a fighting force in the Premier League, one that can upset teams such as your Arsenals, your Man Uniteds, your Tottenhams, you know, a team that can provide some sort of threat and just have a good season. Not as good as West Ham fans would like. Obviously, they'd want to push up into 7th, 8th, maybe 6th in an ideal world, but it just hasn't clicked for them really in recent years. So I think 10th, it's just your solid sort of West Ham season, really. Coming up in 9th place, I have Wolverhampton Wanderers, one of my favourite teams in the league. Now, unlike Burnley, I really do think it's possible that the European football might have a slightly negative impact to their star players as far as the Premier League is concerned, as I can actually see them progressing through the competition quite a way. They're a very good and exciting team to watch, and like I said, one of my personal favourites. I'm an Arsenal fan, but if I wasn't an Arsenal fan, had to choose another club, I would choose Wolves because I love their players, I love the way they play, and they're a really great team. They had a great starting season in the previous year coming up from the Championship, and I think they'll continue to threat the top 6, and maybe if their form against teams lower on in the league, because obviously Huddersfield only won 3 games in the Premier League last year before they finished 20th and got relegated, and 2 of those games were against Wolves. So I think if Wolves can improve their form against the lower teams, they could actually see themselves finishing higher than I've placed them here in the league, maybe 7th, 8th, possibly even 6th. We don't know how the top 6 are going to fare this year. It's all up in the air. It's all very exciting. Coming up in 8th place, I have Everton. Everton. Now, they went through a bit of a rough patch last season, but have come through, and they're in some fine form by the end. They look like they could beat anyone. They finally bought Gomez and also secured Fabian Delph for actually quite a decent fee from Manchester City, and it's also looking likely that they could get Moise Kean from Juventus and possibly Wilfried Zaha from Palace as well. Now, if these two transfers are complete, I could see them finishing even higher than 8th, but we'll have to wait and see. In my preliminary table, that's not the one I'm showing in this video, I actually had Everton finishing 6th, right? Which is, that's pretty crazy stuff. I had Everton breaking into the top 6 this season, but I have put it in 8th. I think this season is a crucial one for manager Marco Silva, and if things go wrong from the start of the season, some fans will be very quick to start asking questions. I know people were already doing that last year, so he needs to have a good start to get Everton up and running, but especially if they make these few extra signings, they could have a really, really good year and could definitely upset the top 6. Obviously, I predicted Man United not to beat Everton. I predicted Liverpool not to beat Everton, both of which happened last year. We will have predictions on the channel, of course, every single week, but it's going to be exciting for sure. Coming up in 7th place, we do have Leicester. I've kept the top 6 above the others, but like I said, Everton, Leicester, Wolves, these are teams that could push the top 6, but they looked great last year, and they did only improve under Brendan Rodgers, who has them playing a great style of football, well suited to the Premier League. And at the time of recording, Harry Maguire still hasn't left for Manchester United, but that deal does look very, very likely. It's just Man United take a long time with transfers. They could run into some trouble if they don't sort out their defensive issues in the opening 15 minutes of matches, but as far as attacking goes, on their day they look as good as anyone. Like when they beat Arsenal towards the end of the season last year, if anything, that could have ruined Arsenal's chances at top 4. Leicester looked like the top 6 team and not Arsenal. They looked that good. So they will be pushing for European football under Brendan Rodgers 100%. That will be their goal. Top half is a minimum. They'll be going for European football for sure. Coming up in 6th place, we have Chelsea. Now, Chelsea fans, hear me out before you start screaming at me in the comments. This was a very difficult one, but realistically, Frank Lampard has a big task on his shoulders. Now, obviously, he was the manager of Derby, and he did do well there, but at the end of the day, he didn't win anything with them, and he's now coming into Chelsea at a very pivotal time in their career as a club. He's going to have to cope with the loss of their best player, Eden Hazard, and it is crucial that the likes of Hudson-Odoi and Loftus-Cheek and all these youthful players have good seasons, but obviously those two in particular are partial to an injury, and Chelsea's transfer ban also means it's been really hard for them to actually build on their squad and fill the hole that Hazard has left. Now, after finishing 3rd last year and winning the Europa League, I think it would be a tough challenge for their current squad to play the entire season in all the competitions they've got to do, Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, at the level that they'd like. And I think with the strengthening that the other top 6 teams, Arsenal, United, Spurs, have done, they might just fall short into 6th place this time round. Do I think Frank Lampard's going to get the sack? Thinking about it, across the whole season, I don't know. If it goes really bad, it is possible. I'd like to think they'd give him the benefit of the doubt because it is difficult with the transfer ban, but I think it is going to be tough for Chelsea this year. Coming up in 5th place, I have Manchester United. Now, hear me out, okay? It's hard to predict where they're going to finish, and by the time the transfer window closes, we could be looking at essentially a totally different potential starting 11 than we have right now. They've currently signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which is a great signing, and Daniel James, who brings a great sort of life to the team, and he's really got the right way of playing down, but that's pretty much it. However, if they can sign Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Paulo Dybala, however you say it, maybe even Milinkovic-Savic as well. I mean, obviously those 4 won't happen because there's only like a week and a half left of the transfer window, but still, things would be looking very different if that happened as opposed to, say, Paul Pogba leaving, Lukaku staying, meaning that Paulo Dybala doesn't come in with a swap deal, and Fernandes not coming. So it's crucial for United to try and get these transfers over the line, at least a few of them. Harry Maguire is a must for them. They have to get that sorted. And if they do, a back 4 of Luke Shaw, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka really does sort out a lot of the problems that they had last year. And they have to try and get back into the Champions League. Whether that's through the Europa League, which in this case it would have to be, or through the Premier League. We'll just have to wait and see if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets the backing he needs, and then he can start playing the attacking brand of football that has worked for them so well at the start of his managerial career with United. And although I have them finishing 5th here in this table, I don't think it's impossible for them to finish in the top 4. And if they get a few of those signings, if they get Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, maybe Sean Longstaff, but I think that might be falling through, and if they get Dybala as well and Pogba stays, they have filled the gap of Ander Herrera. The players are looking decent, and they can get top 4. You just don't know. There's too much unknown at the minute, so I put them in 5th. Coming up in 4th place, we have Arsenal. where they should be. It's looking like Arsenal are having a great transfer window. They've got, is it Ceballos? Ceballos? Is that how you pronounce it, from Real Madrid? I'm not entirely sure. I've probably butchered that. They've got him for a loan. He'll look good in the midfield, which will make up for the loss of Aaron Ramsey, who obviously went on a free to Juventus. Now, obviously, he didn't play every single game, but it's good to strengthen the midfield. And I think it was crucial this season that Arsenal were to hold on to Aubameyang and Lacazette, which they have done, and along with Nicola Pepe, who it looks like they should be signing from Lille. At the time of recording, it's not official, but it looks as good as done. If they can sign Pepe, that is a great attacking force for Arsenal to have, which is great. Those three could look on their day as good as any team in the league. They do just need to improve their defense a little bit and maintain a more consistent away record in the league, because that is what let them down last year. That's what made Arsenal miss out on top four. Now, if Arsenal can sign Kieran Tierney from Celtic, and potentially there are rumours, I don't know how credible they are, but there are rumours that Samuel Umtiti could be coming from Barcelona to Arsenal, and although he's a little bit old, he would definitely sort out some problems, because it looks like Laurent Koscielny and Mustafi are kind of done at the club. It looks like Mustafi might be out. I think he wants to prove himself here, but whether he'll get the chance, I don't know. And Koscielny definitely doesn't want to be here anymore. So hopefully Arsenal can tie up some loose ends at the back. And yeah, they have got to try and break into the Champions League this year. That's all I'll say. And I think with the attack they could have and should have, they'll know better how to go about their away games. I think they should be able to and will be capable of doing that this time round. Coming up in third place, obviously, I do have Tottenham. Now, they haven't done too much in the transfer window. Just one big arrival and one big departure, really. They don't have to worry about Kieran Trippier at the back, thanks to his move to Atletico Madrid. And honestly, I think that's good for them. I personally didn't rate Kieran Trippier at all. I thought he was woefully inconsistent and made some pretty critical mistakes, to be honest. He took that one free kick. We get it. I think Tottenham, they're glad he'll be moving on. But the main thing, they bought in Ndombele. What a signing that is for Tottenham. If Arsenal can get Pepe and Tottenham get Ndombele, they're similar sort of signings in terms of magnitude and for the club that they're going to. Because Ndombele, Pepe, those are players you'd expect to go to Liverpool. Maybe Man United if they took the fingers out of their pockets. Manchester City. But for Arsenal and Spurs to get them really shakes up the top four. And yeah, what a signing that is for Tottenham. Spurs have got great heart as a team and play fantastically well together. And obviously, they played really well without Harry Kane last year. But he's coming back into the team. He's looking good in pre-season. I think Tottenham are looking like a real unit, and they're set up to have a great team. Their manager, Mauricio Pochettino, is obviously a great manager. So I think it looks likely that they'll get a top four spot, and they can continue to play the way they did throughout last season. Will they get as far in the Champions League as they did last year? No, I don't think they will, but definitely, you know, round of 16, quarterfinals type stage, a good cup run, and a top four finish. Do I think Tottenham will win something? Who knows? Probably not, but I think they're going to have a decent season. So realistically, in my opinion, it's Everton and Leicester fighting for 7th place, Chelsea and Man United fighting for 5th place, Arsenal and Tottenham fighting for 3rd place, and of course Liverpool and Manchester City fighting for 1st place. Now, who do I have in 2nd place this year round? I have Liverpool. Now, they haven't really done too much in this transfer window, but that's not a bad thing. They don't really need to. I feel like they're heading in the right direction, and really they just need another shot at having a season playing as well as they did last year. Like, they don't need to change too much. They had a great season. They just need another shot at the Premier League title. They play great football, but I just feel like their strength in depth is not as good as Manchester City. And like I predicted last year, throughout, even when Man City were like 11 points behind Liverpool, I predicted that Man City would win the league. I do see Liverpool missing out on the Premier League title again. I think Man City would just be too strong. And to be honest, I think that Liverpool do have a great chance at winning the title, better than any other team other than Manchester City. And I do think the title could be decided by just one slip-up from either team like it was last year. As you can see by my table of predicted results, I can't really see anyone beating Liverpool, to be honest, especially not at home. It'll just be how many games they end up drawing and aren't able to get over the line that will stop them from winning the league, in my opinion. Those 2 drop points every time they draw instead of winning, where Manchester City would probably win, I think is what is going to stop them from winning the league. As far as my predicted league table goes, I have got Liverpool conceding the least goals. I've just got Man City scoring way more. So, number 1, of course, we have Manchester City. They have definitely gained more than they have lost in this transfer window, and to strengthen already one of, if not the strongest football club in Europe, is threatening to anyone. Now, it's obviously early days for Guardiola in terms of this season, but of course their goal will be to retain the Premier League for a 3rd year in a row, which I think they can do. And the key man for them, in my opinion, will be Kevin De Bruyne. They played half the season last year without him and still won the domestic treble. I think the ultimate goal for City this year will be to win the unprecedented quadruple. And I think the availability of players like Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva and Fernandinho, and the form of Sergio Aguero and Raheem Sterling is going to be crucial for them in achieving that goal. It's going to be an exciting year, to say the least. And like I did mention, obviously I've got Man City. I've got them not losing a single game. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't. I don't think they're going to be invincible like Arsenal were back in the day in that one year when they did that. I do think they're going to lose games, but obviously when you predict each individual match, you can't pick a single game where City might lose. You know, they might lose to Leicester. I think they did lose to Leicester last year. But looking at each individual game, you just can't predict that happening. So do I think they're going to get 104 points? No, I don't. I do see them losing a couple games here and there, slipping up. Liverpool probably will as well. I think City will just win the game by winning more games than Liverpool. Liverpool will draw some of the games they should be winning. And I do see Manchester City win the league again. I could be wrong. It could be Liverpool's year. But if Man City are fully fit for the entire year, they will look better than they did last year. And that is scary. So it's going to be a fantastic season. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Let me know your opinions on my table down in the comments, as well, of course, with your Premier League 2019 to 2020 predictions. Leave a like on the video, like I said. Subscribe. Turn on the bell so you don't miss a single upload. The next upload on the channel will be my Premier League Week 1 predictions. Let me know down in the comments as well any other video ideas you want to see. And yeah, I will catch you in the next video very soon.